Good evening, everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to, this is a Sunday share that I canceled because I ended up with the flu and I am rescheduling it to Thursday tonight. So Sunday share on a Thursday. Good evening, everyone. So glad you're here. So I have a few announcements before I get started. The March hostess code for anyone placing orders. Make sure you enter this code into your, when you check out, when you shop online, and you'll be grouped with a bunch of people using the code and earn free products. My door prize for the month of March is By the Bay. This is for anyone that places orders online, in person, by email, and also all of my paper pumpkin customers are included in this drawing. So if you're a subscriber of mine, this is what I'm using tonight. But before I do that, I want to make a few announcements. Because we're in the month of March, this is the last month for Celebration 2019. If there's any free products in here that you guys want, you need to earn them this month because they'll be gone after March 31st. Now, one important announcement from today, the hop around framelits dies that go with the little frog set are now sold out. These are sold out. And so is the organdy ribbon that came back just for a little bit to fill back orders. And we had some extra, and those are sold out also. March 10th is the last day to sign up for Paper Pumpkin to receive an additional free stamp set. It's our 6th birthday. What a great celebration. 6 years Paper Pumpkin has been around. So we are getting 2 stamp sets in the March kit. So make sure you subscribe by March 10th. March is also the last month for you to sign up to be on my team. Now, let me explain a little bit about what you get by joining. So you can choose the Craft and Carry tote. You choose $175 worth of product, plus you get a free paper pumpkin kit. So that's $195 worth, plus the shipping is free. And you pay $129. That is a great deal. If you don't want the Craft and Carry tote, then the price would be $99 and you still get the same amount of free items. It's a great value. It's the best time of year to join. And then it doesn't stop there. Once you're on my team, even if you don't want to do classes or workshops or Facebook Lives like I do, you receive 20% discount on all your orders after you join. So I always recommend that to anybody that's trying to stock up on Stampin' Up supplies. My last announcement before I get started, my Stampin' Ink Designs group. You can search for Stampin' Ink Designs in Facebook and ask to join my Facebook group. And I have a few things going on there right now. I have my monthly challenge, which is an Easter project, and the winner will receive a pair of our paper snips. And every 2 weeks, I also do afternoon tea time and a card live on the group page. I've done 2 episodes right now because this is so new, and let me show you the 2 cards that I've made so far. So week number 1 for afternoon tea time and a card was this beautiful card using some celebration items plus some occasions catalog items. And then a few days ago, I had episode number 2, and this is the card I made. And you'll notice I used the foil seals on both cards. Aren't they pretty? Okay, that's it for announcements. So now I'm going to get started. I'm so glad everyone's here. I can see you guys all joining in. So I'm using the Wonderful Moments stamp set with you tonight. This is the first time I use this set, even though I've had it for a while. And I'm actually going to be doing some casing. So remember we talked about casing before. And tonight what I'm doing, I'm actually copying and sharing everything, but I'm going to selectively edit because I've changed some of the colors. I've changed some of the designer paper, and you'll see what I'm making from page 136 from the catalog. So I'm making these 3 cards right here. And I'm going to start out with this little one here about the little girl that's pregnant. So let me bring in everything that I need. Now let me show you. So the card on this one uses a brighter color and a different designer paper that I'm using. Let me show you how I made my card. Isn't that pretty? I use the blends markers to color. Now the designer paper that you see on this layer is from the All My Love designer paper. Even though this was made to coordinate with some Valentine's projects, look how pretty it looks on this card. So that's why I thought I'd use this paper to show you that it's not just for Valentine's. Now the color of cardstock I'm using is Flirty Flamingo, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. I'm going to fold that on the score line. The next layer is also Flirty Flamingo, and I've gone ahead and embossed it with the dot to dot embossing folder. You can see there's different sizes of dots on it. Really cute. That one measures 5 by 3 3/4. I've gone ahead and cut the oval from the largest oval from the Stitch Shapes dies. Here's my designer paper, 3 1/2 by 2 1/4. And then I have a small sliver here for the sentiment that is 1 inch wide, and I'm going to trim that down. And then a scrap piece of white for stamping. Now I am using the blends markers tonight. I'm using Flirty Flamingo Light and Dark. Now I gotta look at these ones. This is the Bronze, Ivory, and Dark Soft Suede. So let me put these aside. I've got a lot of supplies for all the cards tonight. The Tailored Tag Punch, Memento Black ink, the Silver Metallic Edge Ribbon, and I think that's it for card number 1. So let me go ahead and bring in, this is my mat from the Stamparatus tool. I'm going to bring in the Whisper White and the Memento Black. I'm going to stamp my little pregnant girl image. Look how pretty she is. Isn't that cute? And then next, I'm also going to stamp the sentiment. I'm just going to stamp that right in the center. Now this one says, looking forward to meeting your new little miracle. Cute, cute. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and glue the Flirty Flamingo layer. So this is tone on tone. You've got one embossed layer and then the card base, which are the same color. Next, I'm going to glue the designer paper. And I'm going to glue that about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of layer number 2. Next is the oval. So it really helps that I have everything cut out ahead of time. That's going to go right in the center, right there. Next, I'm going to bring out a scrap piece of paper so I can handle my blends markers. Now, I have a fresh new sheet here, and I don't want to get it dirty. Do you guys do that when you get a fresh sheet out? I just want it nice and white for maybe one night. Okay, this is the dark Flirty Flamingo. I'm just going to add where there would be some shadows. That's it for that. Next is the light Flirty Flamingo. We're going to bring that in and blend where they meet. So you can see that creates that nice shading. So I always add the second color and then I go back and blend where the two colors meet. Just go back and forth until the line disappears. See how neat that is? Now this is the sleeve. Okay, so the dress is all set. Next, I'm going to bring in the ivory, and that's for the skin tone. Actually, let me go with the fatter edge. And a little bit on her neck. I'm going to do the same thing with the hair. I'm going to add some dark. And then come in with the lighter shade. Actually, I goofed on that. Here is the dark one. I picked up the wrong one. Now I'm going to add the lighter shade. So she kind of looks like she went to the hairdresser and got some highlights. Now I'm going to cut her out. Yes, I'm going to fussy cut. I can just about see some of you guys cringing because I'm fussy cutting. This one is actually pretty easy. Although it would be nice to have some dies, don't you think? I think we talked about this the last time I was on. I had to fussy cut, and I was saying how spoiled we are by having all of these dies to cut out all of our images now. So a lot of people were sad today that the frog dies are gone for celebration, but that's what happens when we have special things going on. They don't last forever, and you need to grab them when they first come out. Okay, so there's my little girl. Now I'm going to add dimensionals. And I'm going to place her right on the oval. My next step is to bring in a piece of ribbon that I cut to measure 3.5 inches. And I'm actually going to use the Flirty Flamingo Dark, and I'm going to color the ribbon. I always have white ribbon on hand when I don't have the color that I need, so I can color it myself. Isn't that pretty? And see how quick that took the color? So now I'm going to add a line of snail right there and glue the ribbon down. And lastly, I'm going to use the tailored tag punch to create a banner for my sentiment. And I'm also going to glue that down with dimensionals. Now I'm going to use this little strip right here. We never throw anything away. See all these little strips around the edge? You should use those because you can cut them down to size. Okay, and there is card number 1. So you can see how quick that was. So let me go ahead and set up for card number 2. Now card number 2, I'm using a lot of ink colors. I have Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather, So Saffron, Coastal Cabana, Smoky Slate, and Blushing Bride. And let me cover this one here so I don't make a mess. For the card base, I'm using Bermuda Bay 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. I'm going to go ahead and fold that. Layer number 2 is Highland Heather 5 1/4 by 4. And I've gone ahead and embossed this one with the Polka Dot Basics folder. You can see it's a large polka dots. You can see the embossing right there. I'm going to go ahead and glue that down to the card base. Oh, I should show you the card I'm making too from the catalog because I switched it around just a little bit. So I'm making this one right here. It looks like they used mint macaron and Gorgeous Grape. I switched to Bermuda Bay and Highland Heather. So this is card number 2. Now for the designer paper, what I did is this was one piece. Let's see, it would have measured 3.5 by 4.5. I cut off 3/4 of an inch, and I'm just going to flip it over, and I cut it so that it would measure 4 inches long. So that's going to go on the back side of this one. So it's from the same pattern. I just flipped it over. Now I'm going to glue this down. And this is going to go, and you know what? This one is crooked. I gotta fix that because it's going to drive me crazy. There, that's better. Now this is going to go on the left side, even with the Highland Heather layer. Next, I've got a little piece, 1/2 inch wide of Highland Heather. I'm going to stamp the sentiment. Oh, I didn't bring my stamps in. Hold on. Okay, so this one says happy birthday. And again, I'm going to cut that with the tailored tag punch right on the edge. And then I'm going to trim that on the end once I get going on the rest of this. Now I'm also using another stamp set to make this little circle you see here. That is from the Swirly Frames. As you can see, there's some squares, rectangles, some straight lines, and then this big circle is what I'm using tonight. And that's going to be with Coastal Cabana. So I'm going to go ahead and ink my stamp. And then I'm going to cut it out with the Big Shot, and that's the only thing I'm going to be using the Big Shot for tonight. So let me move all of this aside. And I'm using the largest circle from the Layering Circles dies. And that fits perfectly around this circle. So there's my circle. Now let me bring my scrap back in so I don't mess up my little perfectly white sheet right there. Let me bring the card back in. So the first thing I'm going to stamp is the balloons. Only because when you stamp these two images, the hand is holding the balloons. If I would have stamped this first, I wasn't sure how high the balloons would go up. So it's easier for me to stamp the balloons first so that I can make sure that I can see them all. And then we're going to stamp the image. And I need to put her hand right in that little space right there where the strings are. See how easy that was? Okay, next, we're going to color. I've got Blushing Bride, Highland Heather, Coastal Cabana, and So Saffron. Oh, actually, I'm closing all of my ink pads and I don't need to. I'm going to grab the color from the lids on all four. So first up, I'm going to use the So Saffron. Now, because I am not using StazOn ink, I'm just going to lightly tap around the gray, around the smoky slate. I don't want to end up smudging that. So I'm just tapping. And then as I get to the white, then I can go ahead and finish the coloring. Okay, there's the So Saffron. Next is Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to do around the edge of the skirt so that it's darker. And then just go in to make it lighter. And we're also going to do one balloon. Again, I'm tapping because I don't want to smudge the smoky slate. Blushing Bride is for the two arms. And where is my smoky slate? Right here. I need to do the smoke. You know what? I don't color my hair anymore. I let it go gray, and I thought I would make her to match me tonight. She's sporting the gray look because gray is in, you know. I get a lot of compliments on my hair since I let it go. Next, the last color is Highland Heather, and that's just going to be one balloon. Okay. So that was a lot of supplies for one card. Now this one, again, I'm going to use these little guts that are left over. I call them guts. The little edging. So I just need to glue this down, and then my sentiment and this card will be all done. And don't forget to share while you're watching. I will be choosing a winner. I'm behind on choosing my winners too. Okay, so this is going to be about here. I'm going to choose a winner tomorrow to win all 3 of these cards, so don't forget to share. Okay, there's card number 2. How's that? One more to go. So let me move this aside. Now I do need quite a bit of supplies on the third one too. So let me show you the third one. The third one is this beautiful. I kept the prettiest one for last. I think this is so elegant. And there's a little bit of heat embossing on this one. So this is my card. You can see how pretty that is. So this is black embossed, and then I did some watercoloring around it. So I'm going to show you how to do that tonight. So we need Versamark ink, Mary Merlot, an aqua painter, black embossing powder, and let me show you what else I have. Now I am using, so in the catalog, they had a different die that they used here. I wanted to change that up a little bit. So I'm using these roses instead. And that's this die. And that comes from the Rose Trellis Thinlits dies. Isn't that a pretty set? So I've gone ahead and cut out 3 of the roses. And the embossing folder that I'm using on this one is the one that you can earn for free during celebration. It's the Country Floral. It's got a bunch of flowers, different types of flowers. It's really pretty. And let me see, what else did I use? I think that's it. So I'm going to get started. So this is Blushing Bride, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and glue down the embossed layer. This is Mary Merlot, 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 by 4. And now we're going to work on the embossed layer. So I'm going to bring in my Stamping Buddy and just put powder all over my Whisper White. Now this Whisper White measures 3.5 by 4 1/4, and I'm actually using the thick Whisper White only because I'm going to be wetting it and I don't want it to have too many bumps. I'm going to ink this with Versamark ink. And you can see that I turned the stamp upside down. That's because it's a lot easier to ink when it's upside down. Now here is the basic black embossing powder. And some of you guys have seen me show I do have rice in my embossing powder. I always leave that in there. That's just to take out the moisture, so it keeps it nice and dry. Now you can see that I have a little blob right there. I always keep a paintbrush handy. And then I always try to see how I get that out. And then there's a little dot right there that I don't like. So I just move that out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and start the heat tool, so I'll be making a little bit of noise. Make sure when you're using a heat tool that you keep it moving so you don't burn your paper. And I'm just going to melt all of this powder that you see. And you can see as it melts, it turns darker. And then I usually just hold it up to the light to make sure it's nice and shiny. And it is, so we're good to go. Okay, now, Mary Merlot ink and the aqua painter. And you're going to see that when I dipped my aqua painter, I want to create this watercolor effect. I don't want a lot of ink, so I'm just going to lightly pick just a tiny bit and then work my way around the image. It's better to go light. And then I just spread it around. I hope you guys can see that. It just spreads so easily with the aqua painter. If you don't have an aqua painter, you really need to buy one because I love these. It's just like watercoloring. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I have the first layer down. I'm going to pick more up and I'm just going to add in the corners where you would find a little bit more of a dark shadow. So see how I darkened up just in the corner around the flowers? I'm going to do a little bit right here also. So I barely touched the ink pad. You don't need a lot for that to work. Now let me let this dry for a little bit. I'm going to do the sentiment. And this is Blushing Bride in measures. It's 3.5 inches by 1 inch, but I'm actually going to trim that down again with the tailored tag punch. And Brenda, you're asking if that's watercolor paper. No, it's actually the thick Whisper White. And then I'm going to show you what I do with it after. I do something else with it. Okay, there's my little sentiment. Now this is where I'm going to bring in a multi-purpose adhesive sheet. You can see that this gets warped just a little bit. I'm going to turn that over to the back side. Bring in the self-adhesive sheet and place that right over the whole thing. And it doesn't matter if it's not the exact same size. I'm going to trim that on the end. And then what I do is I use my bone folder to burnish it. It warms up the glue. But first I need to glue down a few of these flowers. So here's my liquid glue. I'm using a sponge that I keep in a container so it doesn't dry up on me. I'm going to flip the flowers on the back side and I'm just going to pounce some glue on them. Just an easy way to add glue to your flowers. So I'm going to add one to each corner. The only thing you have to watch when you're doing this, I glued the other flower here. Don't go on top of where you've already added glue. Okay, there's corner number 2. The third one I actually glued on top, so I'm going to go ahead and glue down the watercolored panel first. If I can get this started here. So see how easy that was to glue down? So I'm going to bring in my glue one more time. Now I have glue here and glue here, so I'm going to move this flower over so that I don't get glue on the front of it. And this flower is going to go right there. And then we've got the sentiment. Again, just using the trimmings from the leftover dimensionals. For the bride. And lastly, I'm going to add a few pearls. I still have some of these pearls that are on a string, so I'm going to just cut them apart. I think this is the last of them. I'll be done with these after. I just don't want to waste them. So I'm going to add 3 pearls. Whoops. And there you go. So that's card number 3. So the watercoloring is a lot of fun using the aqua painter. So let me bring in the cards back in. So there's card number 3, card number 2, and card number 1. And again, that was using the Wonderful Moments stamp set. So that's it for tonight, everyone. Make sure you share my video so I can pick a winner tomorrow. I promise I'll pick someone. I haven't picked anybody from my last video yet. I haven't had time. So I have 2 winners left to pick. I'll be back online on Sunday with my Step It Up Sunday. And I'm actually going to be using the Golden Afternoon stamp set. And this was the first time I've used this stamp set also. So thanks so much for joining me, everyone. Hope you enjoyed my cards. And I'll see you on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Good night.